This is a news on Bakhtiar, and let's go through the main headlines. Ukraine and Russia reach a temporary ceasefire as Moscow holds a parade dedicated to World War II victory. US President Donald Trump says some troops being withdrawn from Germany could be redeployed to Poland. And Pentagon releases never-before-seen UFO files. A temporary pause in the Russia-Ukraine war appears to be underway, with US President Donald Trump announcing a 3-day ceasefire and a large-scale prisoner swap between the two sides.
United States President Donald Trump has announced a 3-day ceasefire in the war between Russia and Ukraine from May 9th to May 11th. Trump said on social media the ceasefire would include a suspension of all kinetic activity and a swap of 1,000 prisoners from each country. Shortly afterwards, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed Ukraine's participation, while Russian state media also reported that Moscow had agreed to the proposal. Russian presidential aide Yuri Ushakov later said, "An agreement on this matter was reached during our telephone contacts with the US administration." Speaking to reporters after the ceasefire announcement, Trump said he would like to see the truce extended beyond the initial 3 days.
I asked, and President Putin agreed, President Zelensky agreed, both readily, and we have a little period of time where they're not going to be killing people, and that's very good. And they also agreed to give 1,000 on each side, 1,000 prisoners back. So they're going to be transferring almost immediately 1,000 prisoners from each side. That's very good. Russia, Ukraine. I'd like to see a big extension.
The latest ceasefire development came as Russia marked Victory Day on May 9th. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, no military hardware was displayed at the parade, while the Russian capital remained on high alert amid fears that Ukraine could attempt to disrupt the events. Earlier, both sides accused each other of continuing attacks on their positions, while Moscow's mayor said the city had been targeted by drones overnight.
Russia's Victory Day celebrations on Moscow's Red Square have taken place under extraordinary wartime conditions this year, with tightened security, scaled-back military displays and growing concerns over Ukrainian drone strikes deep inside Russian territory. The annual parade, traditionally designed to project military strength and national unity, comes as the Kremlin faces mounting battlefield pressure, expanding anti-drone defenses and increasing attacks on strategic infrastructure inside Russia. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signaled that Kiev would not target the parade after US President Donald Trump announced a temporary 3-day ceasefire initiative. To discuss the symbolism, security implications and political messaging surrounding this year's Victory Day, we're joined by Alexandra Filipenko, who joins us from Vilnius, Lithuania. Alexandra, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Alexandra, this year's Victory Day parade appeared far more restrained than in previous years. What message was the Kremlin trying to send with this scaled-down display?
It was scaled down all over. It was scaled down in time because the parades usually last more than an hour.
Yes.
This time it was way less. Usually President Putin speaks for about 15 minutes. This time it was less than 10. And there were less people in general who were witnessing the parade. And of course, no technical equipment, nothing. It was a very modest parade. Due to the threat of an attack, as the Russian side noted. The parade was previously always used to showcase Russia's massive military, including the intercontinental ballistic missiles or anything that's capable of carrying nuclear weapons. This time, nothing like that. Instead, giant screens, they displayed those weapons. So basically, those were the cartoons, let's say, and soldiers and sailors, some of whom have served in Ukraine. Yes, they marched and they saluted Putin, but they were way less people, or way less guests than previously, of course, and of course less than last time in 2025. And I must say that there was another part of that symbolism, because military analysts saw how Putin walked and what he probably was wearing underneath his coat. So probably it was not just a usual bulletproof vest. It actually looked like a combo of armor with rubber, ceramic, and some armor plates. That's what some military analysts saw in what Putin was wearing. So there was a lot of symbolism in that, a lot of symbolism, not only in the parade itself, but in everything surrounding the parade, including the fact that in Moscow, nothing worked. Internet didn't work, mobile internet didn't work at all. So 14 million people were shut down from the internet just because Putin was uncomfortable in that parade in Moscow.
Alexandra, do the repeated Ukrainian drone strikes near Moscow reveal growing vulnerabilities in Russia's internal security architecture?
Yes, of course. We see that there are more successful attacks by the Ukrainian side. And those attacks, unlike the Russian attacks on civilian infrastructure, are mainly on oil infrastructure and everything that's connected to oil revenue of Russia. Because this is the way Russia manages to continue fighting this war. They have enough money to produce weapons. They have enough money to buy drones, including the Shahed drones from Iran that Russia has been buying for a long time. This is the way. If Russia has revenue, Russia can continue fighting this war. So we are seeing more successful attacks and more precise attacks of the Ukrainian side on Russian oil refineries. And that makes things way more difficult for Russia and for Russian military, because they have less financial opportunities. And this is one of the problems why right now Moscow is so closed down, those precise attacks. This is why we're seeing that Moscow is basically surrounded by a ring of anti-drone technologies and anti-missile technologies that were taken away from other cities just because they needed to that military parade, that Victory Day parade, to take place, because this is so symbolic and so important for Putin.
Alexandra, how important was Volodymyr Zelensky's statement that Ukraine would not target Red Square during the parade? Was it a strategic gesture toward Washington and Western allies?
Of course, it was after the President Trump's announcement. President Trump announced on Truth Social a 3-day ceasefire, which will run from May 9th to May 11th. He also said that there will be the exchange of 1,000 prisoners from each side, prisoners of war. This initiative came first, as it was told also by the White House, from Putin. And Trump told News Nation reporters that he hopes for a significant extension beyond those 3 days. We should duly note that President Zelensky many times have said that he's ready for a ceasefire, and he himself proposed a ceasefire starting May 6th, but Russia continued the attacks. So President Zelensky, yes, he thanked President Trump and his team for their productive diplomatic engagement, and he ordered his military to immediately prepare everything necessary for the prisoner exchange, and also not to target the Kremlin, not to target Red Square. And of course, in general, President Zelensky will follow President Trump's announcement. The way it was announced by President Zelensky was quite interesting, because this is an order by the president of Ukraine that indeed Moscow can hold a military parade. Of course, this is a way a little bit to troll Vladimir Putin. we should give it to Volodymyr Zelensky. But in any case, of course, this is first of all targeted at the White House, and that thanking of President Trump and his team for the productive diplomatic engagement, and everything else is definitely targeted at the Western allies and at everyone who is trying to do anything about the war, Russia's war with Ukraine, because I must note that State Secretary Marco Rubio, speaking in Rome, said that any mediation efforts has not yielded fruitful results and had not reached any deals and any agreements, and that is a big problem. So Mr. Rubio was not as optimistic as President Trump.
Alexandra Filpenko, political analyst, joining us from Vilnius. Thank you very much for your insights and time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
U.S. President Donald Trump says some troops being withdrawn from Germany could be redeployed to Poland. This comes as divisions deepen between Washington and several European allies of the war in Iran. The Pentagon announced earlier this month that 5,000 American troops would be pulled out of Germany over the next 6 to 12 months. A senior Pentagon official said the move followed criticism from German Chancellor Friedrich Merz over Washington's handling of the war in Iran. Germany currently hosts around 35,000 U.S. troops, more than any other country in Europe.
We have a great relationship with Poland. I have a great relationship with the president. You remember, I endorsed him, and he won. And he came from way behind, and he won. He's a great fighter. He's a great guy. I like him a lot. So that's positive.
Cuba has carried out military exercises as tensions with the Trump administration continue to escalate. The drills come amid tougher U.S. sanctions and increasingly hostile rhetoric from Washington. Cuba conducted military exercises Friday as tensions with the United States continued to rise. State television showed troops carrying out combat drills in central Cuba as part of military preparedness programs overseen by Central Army Chief Raul Villar Casal. The exercises come amid escalating rhetoric from Washington. President Donald Trump has tightened sanctions on Cuba and blocked most oil shipments to the island, moves Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel has decried as coercive. The U.S. military says a strike on a vessel suspected of transporting narcotics in the Eastern Pacific on Friday killed 2 people and left 1 survivor. The U.S. Coast Guard later conducted search and rescue operations. The Trump administration has released previously classified files on unidentified aerial phenomena, commonly known as UFOs. Officials say it's part of a push for greater transparency, but experts say the material offers no new evidence of anything extraordinary. The material includes documents, photos, and video footage dating back to the 1940s, with officials saying further declassifications will follow. Analysts say much of it had already been released and provides no evidence of extraterrestrial technology or life. Some files cover historic military and space program accounts, but experts describe the latest batch as consistent with previous disclosures rather than a breakthrough. Pope Leo XIV marked the first anniversary of his papacy with a visit to Naples, where thousands gathered to welcome him in the city's central square. The Pope praised local groups supporting refugees before urging communities to reject violence and confrontation, saying peace cannot be achieved through the use of force. Crowds cheered as the pontiff moved through the square, greeting worshippers and delivering a message focused on dialogue and unity amid growing global tensions. The United Nations and aid agencies are warning that Somalia is sliding deeper into a humanitarian crisis as drought, rising prices and funding shortages leave millions facing severe hunger. Officials say children are among the hardest hit, with nearly 2 million now at risk of malnutrition.
Across parts of Somalia, dry land, dead livestock and overcrowded displacement camps are becoming increasingly common after years of insufficient rainfall. During a visit to the country, the UN humanitarian coordinator for Somalia, George Conway, warned that around 6.5 million people are expected to face severe food insecurity, while nearly 2 million children are at risk of malnutrition.
What we're seeing across the entire country is a malnutrition crisis. We simply don't have the resources to respond as we should do. This is made absolutely worse because of the Middle East crisis, which is raising prices across the whole country, fuel by 150%, even food commodities by at least 20 or 30%.
Aid agencies say 3 consecutive failed rainy seasons have devastated livelihoods, especially in regions dependent on livestock. Families displaced by drought described losing animals, homes and income as conditions continue to worsen.
Even when a little rain fell before, it did not last. That small amount is now gone. And if rain does not come soon, people may start dying, just like the livestock. People depended on livestock, and now the livestock are gone. Everything has been lost.
The World Food Programme says nearly 5 million people have already been affected by the crisis, with more than 200,000 displaced this year alone, most because of drought. Officials say the humanitarian response is also being strained by rising global costs linked to conflict in the Middle East, pushing up fuel and food prices across the country. Aid deliveries continue through supply routes, including the port of Berbera, where thousands of tons of food assistance are being received for Somalia and neighbouring Ethiopia.
Now we'll take a look at the key stories shaping the region. Leaders from the Turkish and Greek Cypriot sides met on Friday in an effort to break a 9-year deadlock in peace talks. The bilateral meeting was held at the residence of the United Nations Special Representative in Cyprus, though no immediate details were released afterwards. NATO's Special Representative for the South Caucasus and Central Asia, Kevin Hamilton, is expected to visit Azerbaijan in the near future. NATO says Hamilton's efforts are focused on strengthening dialogue and cooperation with South Caucasus countries, a region the alliance describes as strategically important. Hamilton is currently in Georgia as part of his second regional trip since taking office. Early in April, he visited Armenia. Shipments of diesel fuel from Azerbaijan to Armenia are continuing on Saturday. At the same time, transit cargo from Russia to Armenia is also passing through Azerbaijan. Our correspondent Gulçin Kocalieva has more.
Fuel exports from Azerbaijan to Armenia are continuing. 8 rail wagons carrying 479 tons of diesel fuel being dispatched. The latest shipment comes as transport links between the two South Caucasus neighbors continue to develop, following Azerbaijan's decision last year to lift long-standing restrictions on cargo transit to Armenia, opening the way for increased rail-based trade through its territory. According to official figures, Azerbaijan has so far exported more than 8,500 tons of diesel fuel, 979 tons of AI-92 gasoline, and nearly 3,000 tons of AI-95 gasoline to Armenia. Meanwhile, another transit shipment from Russia to Armenia is also moving through Azerbaijan. 6 rail wagons carrying 402 tons of fertilizer are departing from Bilajali railway station in the Absheron region toward Büyükkesik railway station near the country's western border with Georgia. Transit flows along the route have steadily increased in recent months. So far, more than 27,000 tons of grain, 4,000 tons of fertilizer, 133 tons of aluminum, and 68 tons of buckwheat have been transported from Russia to Armenia, while Azerbaijani territory. It's Gulçin Kocalieva, Biznijat Kasımov for A News.
Today marks 81 years since the defeat of fascism in World War II, a conflict that reshaped nations and left a lasting impact on global history. In this special report, we explore Azerbaijan's critical role in that war, from the oil fields to the battlefield, and how its contributions became part of a larger struggle for freedom and survival.
one of the bloodiest chapters in human history. The Second World War claimed the lives of millions across the globe. It was not merely a military confrontation, but a struggle for the very survival of humanity. Azerbaijan's contribution to this struggle stood prominently. More than 640,000 Azerbaijanis were mobilized to the front lines in the war against Nazi Germany. Of these, 300,000 never returned. They fell in battle. Yet what they left behind was courage, determination, and a profound love for their homeland. Azerbaijan's national divisions, the 77th, 223rd, 336th, 402nd, and 416th Rifle Divisions, carved a path from the Caucasus to Berlin, writing their place into history. In April 1945, the 416th Division was among the first units to enter Berlin. Under the command of Colonel Rashid Majidov, they raised the victory banner over the Brandenburg Gate, a powerful symbol of Azerbaijan's role in defeating fascism. This victory was forged not only on the battlefield, but also in the factories. During the war years, Baku became the Soviet Union's fuel lifeline. In 1941 alone, Azerbaijani oil workers extracted a record 23.5 million tons of oil. Throughout the war, Azerbaijan supplied 75 million tons of oil, 22 million tons of petrol, and 11 million units of ammunition, figures representing more than just numbers. They reflect the heartbeat of an invisible front. 4 out of every 5 Soviet tanks, planes, and vehicles ran on fuel from Baku. Nazi Germany's push into the Caucasus, known as Operation Edelweiss, aimed squarely at capturing this strategic resource, the black gold of Azerbaijan. But Baku resisted. Azerbaijan resisted. Their steadfast determination ultimately overturned the invaders' plans. Baku fought not only with oil, but with iron, steel, and unyielding will. 63 new industrial plants were launched, over 300 inventions implemented, and 130 types of weapons and military equipment produced. Factories switched to 12-hour shifts. Women and children worked tirelessly on production lines. While battles raged at the front, victory was being forged in the heart of Baku. Azerbaijani soldiers fought not only within Soviet borders, but also contributed to the liberation of countries such as Poland, France, Yugoslavia, and Italy. Among them, Mehdi Husseinzadeh, known by his codename Mikhailo, became legendary in Yugoslavia and Italy for his bravery, sabotaging enemy operations, neutralizing more than 1,000 enemy officers, and becoming a hero of the resistance. In France, Ahmadiyya Jabrailov became celebrated as a hero after joining the French resistance. Known affectionately as Karko, Jabrailov participated in daring operations, risking his life repeatedly to rescue approximately 500 children from Nazi captivity, ensuring their safe return home. During the war, Azerbaijani railway workers transported 1.6 million wagons of supplies to the front. From the Caspian Sea region, 434,000 troops and civilians, hundreds of vehicles, and tons of munitions were delivered. Some 149,000 citizens volunteered as blood donors, sending over 41,000 liters of blood and thousands of medical supplies to the front. The Azerbaijani people mobilized as one nation. Women in factories, children in workshops, and men at the front all shared the burden of war. The public contributed personal resources to the defense fund, including 15 kilograms of gold, 320 million rubles, and 125 wagons of winter clothing. The entire nation carried the weight of the war on its shoulders. 80 years have passed, yet the echoes of victory over fascism still resonate through the free streets of the world. Azerbaijan did not participate in this war solely as a Soviet republic. It fought and sacrificed as a people united for the future of humanity. Victory in World War II was achieved not only by arms, but through the unity and sacrifice of millions. Azerbaijan's role in this struggle spanned from its vital oil production to the courageous frontline operations that helped bring the war in Europe to an end.
A-News TV has been officially named the national media partner for the 13th World Urban Forum, set to take place in Baku from May 17th to the 22nd, 2026. As a key partner, A-News will provide global and local coverage of the forum's major discussions, including sustainable housing and urban transformation. The reporting will focus on the anticipated Baku call to action, amplifying strategic solutions for global urban development to a worldwide audience. This concludes our news update for the hour. Thank you for your time and stay with us.